Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lesson we're going to learn about creating our own functions. These are referred to generally speaking as user-defined functions. SQL Server helps us out by giving us various templates that we can use. Let's go ahead and take a look at creating a simple function. We're going to go under the View menu and choose Template Explorer. And this little Explorer shows up. As you can see, I've already opened up the function portion. This is alphabetical, so it's fairly straightforward. You can see that you can create pretty much everything that you want here, and the template for it is a good starting point. A little bit further below, if you take a look, we have stored procedures, for instance. But you have triggers, defaults, whatever you want. What I'm interested in is creating a scalar function. Whether you pick new menu or create a scalar function, scale valued functions, there's no difference. I'm just going to double click this and close the Template Explorer so I have some more room. You can see this starts off by having a bunch of comments with which is giving you some instructions. I don't need these comments. I'm gonna delete those comments. Set ANSI nulls is on, which means it treats null values as they are supposed to be, basically. We have set quoted identifier, which allows reserved keywords to be used for object names. Now over here we have a list of additional comments. I have the author of this, so I'm going to take this stuff out. Anything in the angle brackets is basically SQL Server's template's way of telling you this is what you need to replace. So I'll put in Dr. Z and creation date. If you want to get that precise, October 15, 2022. Description, it's a good thing to put in there. Finds the biggest spending customer. Okay, so over here it says create function. You notice the format, give it a name. You have open close parentheses, adding various parameters here, and what it actually returns, and the data type. And then it's the as keyword with a begin end, where we basically declare variables and do various selections and return something. Typically with functions, this is what you do. Now I do want to point out that variables do get an @ sign before them. So parameters, variables, whatever you want to call them, are prefixed in SQL Server with an @ sign. It's kind of like if you've worked with PHP, it prefixes all variables with a $sign. SQL Server uses the @ sign. So let's go ahead and actually call this function. I'm going to create this function. I'm going to put it in the sales LT schema. So to do that, I'll just put in sales LT dot, and I'm going to call it biggest spender. Okay. Parameters go over here. I don't have any parameters that I want to put in, so I'm just going to delete that. And this is going to return an nvarchar and a length of 50, let's say. So let's go ahead and come over here and declare. We do want to declare a variable. So I'm going to declare a variable at company, and this will be nvarchar 50. And here we're going to add our transact SQL or T-SQL statements, or just SQL statements. You don't have to call it T-SQL if you don't want to. So I'm going to do a select statement, and I'm going to, and this is a little bit unusual, may feel unnatural, but bear this in mind. So I'm going to select company name, which would be from sales LT dot customer. Now, what I do need to do is I need to go in here, and in the select statement, I'm going to let my @company variable be equal to the company name. And once I do that, this squiggly red line goes away. So the select statement actually makes this selection and then assigns it to this variable. And like I said, it's a bit unnatural, but this is how it's done. So just accept it. Where customer ID is equal to select top one customer ID, Okay. No space here. And before I forget, let me put in my closing parentheses over here and put a where clause here where sales LT, I'm sorry, not sale, where it's from sales LT dot sales order header, order by, total due, descending. Okay, so if we were to actually execute this statement right here, let's just execute that by itself. And you can see that returns the largest amount that was spent by a particular customer, the customer ID, the customer that spent the largest amount right there. So that's like top customer ID. We could see what the total due is if we wanted to. We could put in the total due just to see it. So let me actually do that. And you can see that's the total that they have due. But over here, I just want to basically return that customer ID gets assigned to this customer ID. So that where clause is fetched, and we get the company name that way. That tells us which company is spending the most. And we need to return something over here. And what we're going to return is the company name. So we're going to return @company right here, the variable that we created. All right, beautiful. And what I can do now is I can go ahead and execute this function. So let's go ahead and do that. Execute this statement. It is against AdventureWorks LT 2019. And it says command completed successfully. You notice there is no execution of SQL statements. What this does is actually create the function for us. So if I were to go under my programmability right now and take a look at functions and take a look at the scalar valued functions, you can see that our sales LT biggest spender is now there. We have this function and we can use it. So let's do. I'm going to open up a new query over here and I'm going to do a select statement. Sales LT dot biggest spender. And notice it's not showing up. So what I can do is I can go under edit, IntelliSense, refresh local cache, and then I should be able to get this. There you go. Biggest spender now shows up. It being a function, you do have to put the parentheses in front of it. So let's actually do that. I'm just going to run this select statement and I'm going to execute it. Notice it is Action Bicycle Specialist that came up. So the function is in fact working beautifully. Now, if I needed to make any modifications to this function, I can basically right-click this function and choose Modify. I don't want to make any modifications, but I want to point out that when you do that, notice that the create function has been changed to alter function. And you will go in here and make changes that you want. For instance, suppose I want to make the company name be 100 in the nvar chars. Not necessary, but let's just go ahead and do that. What the heck, and I'll return the 100th character one right here. And I'll execute this, and it's basically altered at that point. As far as we're concerned, the function itself, the execution of the function really doesn't change. It's going to return the same thing to us. So if I create a brand new query right here and do select sales LT dot biggest spender and execute it, you can see that it still works the same way. But I just want you to know that it becomes an alter statement rather than a create statement. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you are enjoying these lessons, please do share them with loved ones and friends, and thank you as always for being a great audience.